The National Stadium is the venue as we welcome everybody to Singapore as the International Champions Cup 2017 brings together the reigning league champions of England and Germany as Chelsea make their first appearance in the 2017 edition of this tournament against Bayern Munich, and huge excitement generated here for this fixture between two illustrious teams who also contested the 2011-12 UEFA Champions League final. Chelsea's finest hour, of course. Now, pre-season for the tasks ahead. Chelsea moving on from Beijing, where they enjoyed a very impressive and convincing victory over Arsenal. New faces arriving, of course, to bolster this squad for the tasks ahead all the time. And as for Bayern, well, in all honesty, Ancelotti, who started this tour full of smiles and jokes, Carlo Ancelotti, looking a little bit more pensive here now because there have been some questions raised by the most recent performance on the tour, which he has acknowledged, very disappointing against Milan, and a sense that Bayern need to put on a decent performance and get a decent result here. They'll face Borussia Dortmund in the German Super Cup on the first weekend in August as Chelsea meet Arsenal in the Community Shield in England, and it's coming around quickly now, and high time that several of his biggest names, Ancelotti, really started to find their top form. So there's been a tremendous build-up. Let's hear from both camps.
But for us, it's very important now to find the right solution on transfer market, because we have to improve our quality. We have to improve under numerical aspect, because we are few players, and to face for competitions like as Champions League and Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup. In this moment we are few players. For this reason, we have to implement our squad.
Interesting there that Conte accepting that it's going to be a much more demanding season, 17-18 for Chelsea, back in the Champions League. Of course, very familiar to Bayern and the demands placed on Ancelotti's squad.
Yes, obviously. That's a prestige match for us too, and we unfortunately have just a half team at the moment, a lot of injured players, so which does make everything a bit more difficult, especially in the pre-season. But the team that's going to present itself today on the pitch, will want to do his best to win the match and to offer a nice show to all the fans.
Willy Sagnol is the new assistant boss at Bayern for 2017-18. Of course, a former Bayern player, the Frenchman, latterly at Bordeaux in France, but stepping up to the challenge of one of Europe's mightiest clubs as they plan a long-term to try finally to capture the Holy Grail. Bundesliga title winners in all the recent seasons. They're making that ultimate step in the Champions League, confounding them and breaking their hearts time after time. Gary Cahill, of course, has tasted the Champions League before with Chelsea and delighted to be back there. And in the absence now of John Terry, an even more significant role for him. Alvaro Morata in a Chelsea strip. He will not start their major capture from Real Madrid, but very keen to be involved, and we understand the plan is for him to have some game time here. And this man Kante, who has been the glue holding this super successful Chelsea outfit together since his move, and a back-to-back title winner, of course. Leicester City Player of the Year, on to Chelsea and repeating the job. Marvellous. Setting his own standards. Chelsea with huge support out here and great curiosity to see how Conte plans to take it all forward. Thomas Muller captaining a Bayern squad which is not quite at its full complement, as you've heard. Certainly individuals not quite at their most successful level. Last time out, James Rodriguez, like Morata, moving on from Real Madrid. Keen to play a big part in the Bundesliga. And Robert Lewandowski the incredible goal-scoring machine up front, who has not quite looked fully in prime working order so far. Evening kick-off here, but still very humid. That has to be a factor here. Chelsea are staying in Singapore to meet Inter. And as I mentioned then, it will be Wembley Stadium for the Community Shield in England against Arsenal. They know that their first Premier League opponent will be Burnley at Stamford Bridge. It's all coming around quite quickly. Bayern with a game to come here in a couple of days against Inter. Quite a packed schedule for them. Then they have two high-profile friendlies back in Germany against Liverpool on the 1st of August, and the next day they'll play either Atletico Madrid or Napoli before that Borussia Dortmund meeting. So no points at play here, but prestige, preparation for the season ahead, and of course getting out and making new friends in this booming part of the footballing universe. Commercial aspects to the fore, and the players are expected, even contracted, to play their part in all of that. Slightly retro feel to the kits that these two great clubs are wearing for 2017-18. Healthy contingent of Bayern supporters following their team on this tour. I suppose it's summer holidays. Chelsea have had to say farewell to a couple of players who started out on this tour. Kennedy has been asked to go home. Pedro hospitalised after an injury in the Arsenal match. And who knows, perhaps watching on from his hospital bed right now. Hopefully he'll be back involved in a fortnight or so. Too soon, at least in the starting lineup, for summer arrivals Antonio Rudiger, Timur Bakayoko and Alvaro Morata, although they are here, and as we've seen, they will hope to play some part in this game. Simply huge interest in these clubs out in this part of the world. Andreas Christensen returning from a very good spell in the Bundesliga, and Jeremy Boga, loaned to Granada last season. Both are given their chances by Conte in this Chelsea starting lineup. And of course the one name who will no longer be on a Chelsea team sheet, John Terry, moving on to Aston Villa after 22 years at Stamford Bridge. It'll take some getting used to that for us, if not for him. So two changes by Conte after that impressive win over Arsenal. As for Bayern, not at full strength and not at full throttle, quite honestly, so far. Ancelotti makes 4 changes after what he acknowledged was a substandard performance against Milan. Tom Starker's back in goal. Marco Friedl, Renato Sanchez and James Rodriguez all return to the starting lineup. But Bayern looking for a win after a penalty shootout defeat by Arsenal and a thumping defeat by Milan. A Milan side which seemed to be a week or two behind in terms of preparation starting off, or at least that's what we thought. So underway here in the National Stadium in Singapore. Delighted to have Keith Andrews alongside me. Keith.
Evening, Paul. Thank you. Really interested to see the contrast of the two systems. Chelsea playing that favoured three at the back. Both teams, it has to be said, with very strong starting 11s.
Frank Ribery looked very sharp to start the tour. Steered backward by Tolisso to Mats Hummels, who did not cover himself in glory, Keith, did he, in the Milan game, Hummels?
No, there was a few Bayern players that weren't really at the races. Very surprising result against AC Milan. They were superb on the evening. Bayern will certainly be looking for a better performance today.
Moussa Batshuayi up front, he got two against Arsenal. Did come to Willian in the end. Pitch doesn't look very quick, Keith, does it?
Quite slow.
Yep.
The ball slow. It's going to be very. Sure, they all have got a feel for it in the warm-up. The tempo of the majority of these games has been very, very impressive, in which are testing conditions, it has to be said.
Yeah, outstanding in both hemispheres. Victor Moses kept his head down. He had four options in the box then, and in the end couldn't pick any of them out. Anyway, regathered. How have Chelsea started? Is it Christensen in the middle of a three here?
Yeah, Christensen right in the middle. Cahill, as per usual, on the left-hand side of that back three. And Azpilicueta, such versatility, the right-hand side.
Marcos Alonso. Tom Starker's back in goal for Bayern Munich this evening. Christian Frichtl, the youngster, played. Don't think he was at fault for any of the goals particularly. You're more expert than I, but it wasn't a happy night for him.
No, it was disappointing. It was what went on in front of him, which was very disappointing. Young goalkeeper who would have been looking to really make an impression was at fault for none of the goals.
Renato Sanchez has had a struggle really to impose himself at Bayern Munich over the last year after that huge transfer on the back of his Euro 2016 exploits. Fabregas would say, look, the ball hopped up and I was entitled to have a bite at it. Corentin Tolisso, another of the big purchases by Bayern. That's a miscue again by Hummels.
It's in front of that back three for Chelsea. Certainly Kante, Fabregas holding the midfield, the wing-backs are in place, and I think there's going to be a little bit of licence for Boga. He's taking up a position on the left, but licence to come inside with Willian on the right, picking up those number 10 positions. Obviously Batshuayi playing that lone striker role.
Switch by James Rodriguez. Very comfortable. Friedl's cross returned by Christensen. Friedl get an extended run in the side because of the injury problems. Juan Bernat picked up an injury last time out. Friedl can play as a left back or a left centre back. Renato Sanchez. Rafinha from right back for Bayern. He's played every game so far on this tour, looking for Muller. Is it a more central starting position here for Muller tonight, Keith? I think so, with Rodriguez actually on the right.
Yeah, he's just playing just behind Lewandowski. And that's an area of the pitch that Bayern will be looking to exploit. Have the extra man in there. Tolisso, Sanchez, Muller just playing the other side of Kante and Fabregas. Big role today for Kante.
Ribery down the left, gets a free kick. That's Azpilicueta. Shapes to be a very important man again for Bayern in the season ahead.
Even the age that he is, he belies it, doesn't he? He's such a consummate professional. Been at Bayern for such a long time now.
Outside of the boot again by Hummels. It was better than the first one, but didn't get the job done either, did it?
If at first you don't succeed.
Tolisso to Sanchez. Xabi Alonso, again, much like John Terry, it'll get some getting used to not say Xabi Alonso when you're watching Bayern, and Philipp Lahm also departing. The know-how as much as the individual quality might be missed, I think. All that experience.
And probably more so when things aren't going to plan, when you do have that little wobble, which every team does during the season. It's those types of characters in the dressing room, on the training ground, those allies that the managers do rely on, they will be missed.
Seems a little arch of us to pick holes in a team that's won the Bundesliga 5 seasons in a row. Here's Rafinha. Oh, he scored from distance. Courtois couldn't get down to it. Well, that's what Bayern have needed on this tour, a spark, and the Brazilian right-back provides it.
Well, they've really exposed that left-hand side for Chelsea. Alonso was pegged back, and they switched the play really, really well. I'm not sure they expected that spark to come from Rafinha, but he certainly provided it. Super strike. See, Boga was right tucked into it. Kante can't get across. The back five just drop off. He strikes it well. Courtois, for his standards, I think he'll be disappointed.
Dani Alves, eat your heart out. Ancelotti looking for much better here from Bayern this evening, and that's how to start, certainly. After Chelsea had looked very composed and confident. Thomas Muller. James Rodriguez in from that right flank position. Renato Sanchez on the follow-up. Mats Hummels was interesting, I thought, in his interview after the Milan game in this International Champions Cup, Keith, when he just said, you know, it's embarrassing, frankly, what we put on, and we'll put it right.
Well, they certainly reacted in the right way. I thought he was very honest, you're right. He held his hands up as well for the part he played. I think it was the third goal, sloppy pass. Milan to really capitalise on the mistake. We've certainly seen the reaction.
Big travelling Bayern contingent, and of course only the very, very best standards ever good enough at Bayern. Big opportunity here for Jeremy Boga.
It's a super first-time pass by Cahill, which found Boga. And he was bright, lively.
Boga, Marseille born in France. But we understand his intention is to play for Côte d'Ivoire internationally. Batshuayi, Willian. Rafinha inside Marcos Alonso. Tolisso had a little look. Lewandowski, beautiful use of his body then, wasn't it? But he has looked sluggish, hasn't he, Keith, on this tour?
We didn't see that against Milan in any part of the game. That type of sharpness clearly feels a little bit fresher, match sharp after that game. It's amazing the way players' fitness can come on in the space of a few days in pre-season.
Rafinha's full of it. Lewandowski went again. Good covering by Azpilicueta. And a bit of room for Boga to work with here. Batshuayi indicating he should go infield, and he follows the instructions of the main man. Here is Batshuayi. Fabregas aimed at Moses. Friedel got there. Bayern looking sharper. I think this will be a good contest here, Keith.
It started very, very well, hasn't it? Very nice competitive edge to it. As I've already mentioned, the difference in systems as well, playing that little part. And Kante, well, that was Marshall from last year, Matic, who very much liked, will be moving on to another club with the arrival of Bakayoko. Fabregas, a different type of player in there, and certainly when you play with only two defensively, can be found out at times.
So much speculation at this time of the year. For what it's worth, what I took from that interview with Conte was Conte is hoping to bring in more top-line players.
What he has done, he's already brought in three very, very good players that undoubtedly will either start or be in and around the starting 11. If he can add one or two more, a lot of talk about Sandro, left back at Juve, provide a little bit more competition for Marcos Alonso, who has to be said had a remarkable season last year.
Marco Alonso on it here. Fabregas to Kante. I can understand Conte's thinking completely. It's going to be a much more arduous season for Chelsea. Number one, they are the target in the Premier League for all the other big clubs. And the Champions League, Lewandowski. Good recovery in the end by Azpilicueta. Well, he's woken up, hasn't he, Robert Lewandowski, after two very indifferent displays by his standards.
Yeah, he's been a different player already in the opening 10, 11 minutes. Even Muller making that explosive run just to try and create a little bit of space for him. It's a lot better by Bayern.
Here's Muller. James to the right. He goes left instead. And there's plenty of room here for Frank Ribery. Chelsea looking a bit stretched. Ribery down the outside. Needs a touch, and it's been provided by Thomas Muller, and Bayern are 2 up.
Well, what a difference a few days makes. Bayern literally blowing Chelsea away. Very unlike Chelsea to be exposed defensively the way we've seen on a couple of occasions. Frank Ribery was superb. Alonso nowhere to be seen at the back post. Cahill has to tuck in. We've already spoke about Fabregas. Can he do a little bit more defensively? It's a clever run by James. Creates a little bit of space for Thomas Muller. And are we really surprised to see Muller hit the back of the net with that composure? Great start by Bayern.
That picture needs no words from me. What hit us? What's hit Chelsea is a Bayern Munich side with top players whose pride has been stung. Is it just me, or was I expecting Marcos Alonso to get back in there and help cover? Fabregas was trying to bail Chelsea out at the end.
Well, I think even take that singular attack out of the equation, for the last 3-4 minutes probably, Chelsea have been coming under a little bit of pressure. And what normally happens is that back three quickly turns into a back five. But they were so exposed. Azpilicueta was getting dragged into little pockets. Very, very unlike Chelsea.
Friedel gets a free kick against Willian. Willian a scorer against Arsenal. Batshuayi got the other two for Chelsea. Friedel trying to seize the unexpected opportunity on this tour with the injury to Bernat. David Alaba, incidentally, is among the substitutes here for Bayern. Renato Sanchez to Rafinha. James Rodriguez. Muller. Long by Hummels. Marcos Alonso in that orthodox position on that occasion. Back to his goalkeeper, Courtois. Chelsea trying to play out and Bayern trying to press them back. Might have given it away here, Chelsea. Great work by Kante. Hummels stepped onto it. It's been a big theme of this tournament, Keith, which I have to say I think has been a sensational success. But you are watching big teams here playing like they're in Bundesliga games or Premier League games or Serie A games.
I would totally echo those views, and I think it's made for what has been a fantastic tournament. How often have we seen down through the years these types of tournaments and games be testimonial like? They have been nothing but, and I think it's proved Bayern the other day against AC Milan. If you're not prepared to start the game in the right tempo, you can quickly become found out, which Chelsea have been so far, it has to be said.
And of course, nobody quite started it like Neymar and Messi for Barcelona in California the other night against Juventus. If you didn't see it, find it and watch it. It was unbelievable for 30 minutes. Ribery. Little nick from behind by Fabregas.
It's got too much from Ribery. Pace, trickery. Ever so slightly clips his heels, and I don't think he needed to. Kante was recovering really well behind them.
So he's stitching it together much better here for Bayern. Their big signing from Lyon. James Rodriguez with the outside of his boot.
Yeah, Tolisso was very quiet the other day against AC. Himself and Martinez was dropped back to centre half this evening. Very, very quiet and dominated by the AC Milan midfield. Frank Kessie in particular really shining.
On by Renato Sanchez to Friedel, gives it to Ribery. Tom Starker mentioned holiday makers. Starker was preparing for a nice long holiday of retirement sort at the end of his Bayern career. He actually bid farewell to Bayern Munich at the end of last season. They had a party for him at Sabnerstrasse, the training ground. He's been back up there to Manny Neuer for 4 or 5 seasons, and of course Sven Ulreich came in more recently. And Starker leaves Bayern end of May. 2 weeks into June, he gets a phone call, said, look, we're a bit short for the pre-season tour, could you come? And here he is.
It's a remarkable story, isn't it? Just shows the relationship that Bayern have with their former players, though.
Here's one of the next wave. Friedel got there. Well, thought he got there. Sad to say a departure has been Holger Badstuber, a very gifted left-sided defender who's had terrible trouble with injury for the last 3 or 4 years. He was loaned out to Schalke last season and I'm afraid looked a shadow of his former self, and he has now departed Bayern. Moses. Fabregas tight, and Renato Sanchez dominating in that area today. Ribery. Space again on that side. James Rodriguez all alone, and he should have scored.
Well, Courtois is the only one who's trying to sort this out. Comes out as soon as that ball goes over the bar from James. Longo starting position, the recovery run again. Red shirts bombing in the box. Muller, James, such space at the back post, able to take it down. And for a player of his ability, he should be hitting the target.
Keith, you're the expert. Marcos Alonso is spending the whole game in front of the ball, and I don't know that Conte wants him to play like that.
I think when you're in comfortable possession, when Kante, Fabregas are on the ball, you need to be an option out wide. They're the ones that provide the width, the attacking threat. But the ball was so deep on that occasion. And worst case scenario, when you lose the ball, you have to see that reaction of the recovery run right back in. Cahill got dragged over to Muller. Alonso has to try and get back in, tuck in more as an orthodox left back in those occasions.
Starker out to Hummels. Lewandowski's got a free kick this time. Christensen. Well, it's not the ideal start for Christensen either, is it? So very good in that loan spell at Borussia Mönchengladbach. Still only 21 years of age, and we know very highly thought of at Chelsea. almost an ever-present as a teenager in his first season at Mönchengladbach, and he followed up with another 31 Bundesliga appearances last season. And may I say, in a Mönchengladbach side that don't do a lot of defending, so he was a busy boy. Cahill to Christensen. Batshuayi's been quiet so far. Gives it away. Fabregas following up, but he couldn't get it. As ever, it's a time of change, even for a club as well run as Chelsea are, Keith. So just with every respect to those who know already, for those Chelsea fans maybe who've been on holiday or not following it closely, even in this modern era of social media, etc. Begovic departing to Bournemouth, Dominic Solanke to Liverpool, Cuadrado confirming that move to Juventus, Christian Atsu to Newcastle, Bertrand Traoré to Lyon, Toliso's former club. Here he is. Nathan Ake also to Bournemouth. I mentioned John Terry's departure. Nathaniel Chalobah to Watford, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek to Crystal Palace. So that's why Conte feels perhaps that he needs some more people in.
He spoke in the build-up to this game that he maybe feels he has 16 players, outfield players, that are capable of playing first-team football. We all know the way the loan system works already. There's 12 out on loan next season, but such a well-run club in terms of how they orchestrate that loan system. And those players that you mentioned, they've sold or moved on, recouped a hell of a lot of money that should be given to Conte, because he has balanced the books quite well over the last year.
Yes, another feature of it. I totally agree with that, would endorse that. But isn't it a sign of the times that two Chelsea players left for Bournemouth, Begovic and Nathan Ake, for a combined fee of £30 million? I remember Bournemouth not very long ago, within hours of going out of existence.
And I only played against them only a few years ago as they came up from League One into the Championship, took that division by storm. It's been a real success story, but you're right, the way that club has gone has been magnificent.
Bayern are taking this fixture in Singapore by storm at the moment. Ribéry. Frank Ribéry again. Couldn't trick his way past Fabregas that time. Renato Sanchez, he's just imposing himself so much more on this game than he has done previously in this tour. James Rodriguez. Now that's Marco Alonso doing some defending.
And Chelsea are getting overrun. This Bayern team, they've got way too much energy. And the obvious talent that they possess, once they get into those areas, Chelsea are really struggling to lay a glove on them.
Hard going in this humidity, chasing the ball. Did you have a view about these kind of conditions in pre-season? Because obviously if you were in California, say, in the other half of the International Champions Cup, much drier air generally. Is the humidity a limiting factor, Keith, or in the long run is it better for you?
Well, you've just taken the words out of my mouth. I think initially it's tough, and in certain games you come off maybe haven't had the run around and you're thinking, I'm nowhere near it. But if you persevere with the training, the games in those conditions, I think once you come back to your more natural environment, you really do feel the benefits.
Hugely ambitious global project this, with the major club names embracing it so enthusiastically. The top two from the Bundesliga, the 5 of the top 6 from last season's Premier League in England, 5 major club sides from Italy, 2 from France, and in 2 hemispheres, out here in the Far East and in the United States, where we've seen some spectacular stuff. Real Madrid and Barcelona of Spain out there, of course. We're watching the future, Keith, I think. Here's Willian. Had the space to hit it, but it's pulled well wide and Stark's not needed in goal.
It's one of the very few occasions we've seen Chelsea really threaten Stark's goal. It's a nice little give and go. Boga picks up a nice little position. Willian, once he gets into the position, He's only looking to get the shot off. Could have possibly slipped Victor Moses in down the right-hand side. Through Hummel's leg, just drags it wide.
Willian. Looking for Victor Moses, he couldn't thread it to him. Hummels, first time, found his target. On by Muller, look at the room. Ribery's got down this side. Chelsea again in full retreat. Kante did well, and they needed him.
It's where he's so crucial, Kante, the recovery run. He realised Christensen was struggling 1v1. Fair to Christensen, he held him up quite well by that time. Good Kante, reads the pass. Ribery's trying to find James.
25 minutes have flown by here, but it's been a bit of a daze from Chelsea's point of view. Batshuayi's not making much impact up front for Chelsea. Here's Muller, and they cut a swathe forward again here, Bayern. Thomas Muller, he's going to hit it. Oh, that's outrageous. And Thibaut Courtois doesn't get anywhere near that one either.
Well, again, how many times are Chelsea going to get caught out on the break? Thomas Muller had one very, very similar the other day against AC Milan. He opted to go the other side. They break so well. Lewandowski pulls away. Cahill, can he engage a little bit quicker? Possibly. He opens up. And it's a sublime effort. Real control by Thomas Muller to beat an outstanding goalkeeper in Courtois. He's conceded 3 in the opening half. He won't be happy.
There are lots of very strong players mentally at a club like Bayern Munich, but maybe Thomas Muller slightly stands apart in that respect. The more stick he gets, the stronger he comes back. And he's coming back in this game. Rafinha, the player who started the rout. Rodriguez, who should have made it by now 4-0. They're pinging the ball around here, aren't they, Keith?
It's very impressive, it really is. I think Antonio Conte needs to react in some way. I imagine it won't be in terms of personnel, certainly until half-time. He needs to get the message on to Marcus Alonso and Victor Moses just to sit in. Kante, Fabregas hold the centre of the pitch, because at the moment they're giving Bayern way too much space and they're taking advantage of it.
Ribery. Great the way Ribery appears to have shaken off those injury problems which have dogged him for the last sort of 2 years of his Bayern career. Becoming one of the most successful ever foreign imports into the Bundesliga now.
Well, he's certainly, like a lot of people I would imagine, just thought that it may be passing through a couple of years, 3 years maybe, and then he would move on. He's certainly settled in there very well, and he's become very much part of the history alongside that era. The likes of Philipp Lahm, Schweinsteiger, been pivotal in the success that this team has had over the last 8 to 10 years.
Looks very hungry for it all to continue. Moses and the youngster Friedel. They've already lost Juan Bernat on this tour, not to a dissimilar challenge actually.
Very much so. He's late, just tries to nick it. It's Friedel plays it, he just catches his standing leg. That'll be a sore one.
Picked up a yellow card for it. Not a lot going right for Chelsea here. Now, part of the structure of this tournament, the water breaks on the half hours. Very good idea. And it comes in very handy here for Antonio Conte to get a different message across, I think. Ancelotti surely can't have anything to complain about. Well done, that's more like it.
You'd imagine be a real contrast in the two managers. This water break, trying to get key messages on, as I've already mentioned. I don't think Conte and Batshuayi can do too much. The service up to him has been quite poor. When it has, he needs to hold up the play, bring his other players into play. It's so important. It's the first goal. Rafinha switch play really well. Rafinha, they just back off, allow him the shot. But I think Courtois could do possibly better with that one.
Something of an unsung hero quite often, Rafinha. Ribéry, full of tricks as usual. Thomas Müller with the first of his two. And this elegantly done. Look at the room and look at the ruthlessness here of Müller as he exploits it. They stood off him and he punished them like that.
Again, way too much space for Bayern to go and capitalise on it. 2v2, Christensen, Cahill keep backing off. You cannot do that with a player of this ability. And he had a little warm-up the other day against Milan. This time he finds the back of the net.
Struggled for goals last season, Thomas Müller, but that bodes well. He didn't actually score in the Bundesliga until just before the midwinter break. Finally, the drought ended against Wolfsburg. But even with that, only 5 in the Bundesliga last season. 3 in the Champions League. Way down on his previous level. And of course, Keith, that came after a barren spell for Germany in the championships. Flag stayed down. Lewandowski couldn't get that one, but he's moving much more impressively here than previously on this tour, is he not?
I don't think we've seen him spinning behind like that once against Milan. Granted, the level of service wasn't what we've seen today, but he's like a different animal today, isn't he? That match sharpness, getting ever so close to being right up there. Such a prolific striker, gives him that base to go and play off.
Forward by Fabregas, a bit more direct Chelsea, and they might get profit from it. Tom Starker did well. Boga had a run at him. Was that the message Conte tried to put out during that water break?
Quite possibly. He was chatting to these players in particular. Boga does really well. That's poor defending by Martinez. But again, Fabregas, we've seen time and time again over the years looking for that penetrative pass.
Again, from Bayern's point of view, just to reiterate, Manny Neuer and Sven Ulreich, the first 2 choice goalkeepers at Bayern, still recovering from injury. Neuer didn't go with Germany to the FIFA Confederations Cup because of injury. Several of the other Bayern superstars, of course, were rested. Thomas Müller among them. Kante for Chelsea. Did it hit the arm of Moses? He's allowed to go on. Ancelotti was appealing for the free kick. Willian. Fabregas. Batshuayi not able to impose himself. Bit lucky Tolisso, but he's got away with it. And he's taken out by the skipper.
I think Cahill knows exactly what he's doing here. It's a nice little give and go. Rodriguez headed it back to him maybe.
Javi Martinez. Martinez and Alaba on this tour have both had a turn playing at centre-back alongside Hummels. But of course, the competition in that area for Bayern is going to be hotter than ever in the coming season. Niklas Süle has arrived from Hoffenheim, probably the outstanding young centre-back in the Bundesliga. He is on an extended break because he was in Russia with the Germany team that won the Confederations Cup. And they have Jerome Boateng to come back. Similarly, in the middle of the park at the moment, no Vidal, for the same reason he was with Chile, and no Thiago. Rafinha again gets away from Marcus Alonso. Christensen did well against Muller. Knows all about the threat, of course, Christensen, having played in the Bundesliga for the past couple of years.
Muller's movement was superb there. Initially, he came to feet. He spun in behind Cahill right at the right time to provide that outlet for Rafinha just as he came inside. Such a clever player, Muller.
Little touchdown by Batshuayi. Jeremy Boga gets on it and goes for it. Renato Sanchez muscles him out the way. It is a free kick, but that kind of physical energy we have not seen enough of, perhaps, from Renato Sanchez.
Yeah, I agree. Far too often he's been on the periphery of games. I think that's a clever foul, really do. I think Jeremy Boga, a little bit of credit. I think he's been the one that's looked quite lively when he's gone on and tried to make things happen. He realises the opportunity he's got here.
It's a long way out. Willian looks like he fancies it. Willian scored against Arsenal. Now watch for Bayern breaking here quickly. Chelsea need to regroup quickly. Kante brilliant. That's his area where he's just a step ahead of nearly everybody, Keith, isn't he?
He's superb, isn't he? Premier League champion 2 years in a row. We'll have Bakayoko in there with him next season. Real endurance and power in there. Able to play as that two-man midfield more often will be required.
Going to be a hard season for him physically, though, isn't it, with all the extra demands of the Champions League.
He has ripped up the copybook. How often have we seen in the last 10 years or so midfielders get pigeonholed as holding midfielders, attacking midfielders? He's just ripped it up and gone again. He does everything.
Such a success, this fellow, Marcus Alonso, last season. A certain amount of head scratching went on when Conte went for him in the transfer market, but he repaid his faith handsomely. Hummels couldn't steer it past Moses. Nothing that Batshuayi could do with that one. Is it perhaps just the indication here that during that break, Keith, Conte has said to Chelsea, look, let's play into the front men a bit earlier.
He's recognised that it's not quite happening. I said earlier on about Bayern having that numerical advantage in the heart of midfield. I don't like to harp back to it, but certainly defensively, Fabregas can be found out. I think that's why Matic got the nod more often than not last season. Bayern have been very crisp in their passing. Chelsea really struggled to get it going, so maybe let's just play off the front a little bit more.
This wasn't happening in the first 15 minutes, though, was it? Nobody was stopping Rafinha then. Certainly had a wake-up call in that respect, Chelsea, in this half. pumped forward by Starke. Gary Cahill got his head on it. Kante. Amazing, you were talking about Kante there. When Gary Cahill and co were winning the Champions League final against Bayern Munich, Kante wasn't even playing in the top division in France for Boulogne.
I love hearing stories like that. Something similar with Koeta, Red Bull, similar type of story, lower leagues. Took the Bundesliga by storm last year. I'm sure they'll be very keen to hold on to him.
Fabregas, Marcos Alonso's got a lot of room. Now can he produce a good cross for Chelsea? No, the touch wasn't good enough and Rafinha snapped in. I think it's always a little bit personal with Bayern when they meet Chelsea because of what happened on that night, the Champions League final.
Could you add that to the performance and result against Milan only a few days ago? This Munich team have certainly had the bit between their teeth in the opening half.
Moses. Batshuayi tried to do the difficult thing. It broke for Chelsea, but Kante couldn't keep it. Steered forward by Muller. Cahill did well to send Lewandowski back, and he got in a second firm challenge. It's a bit better here in this spell for Chelsea since that break in play. Batshuayi now. Willian. Nicely worked. Marcos Alonso onto his right foot. Chelsea appear to have woken up here.
Well, it's Bayern's turn to be a little bit overrun. Willian finds Alonso. A nice pass. He comes inside, and he is capable with his right foot. Tries to find that top right-hand corner.
Given away to Kante. Tolisso did well then. He and Renato Sanchez have just perhaps begun to look in this game like the players Bayern thought they were buying, Keith.
I think they've bossed it, I really do. The other day I thought both of them really struggled.
Friedel gave it away, and Chelsea have it back with Batshuayi now, and Tom Starke gets down well, the big fellow.
And Victor Moses is asking, could he have had the return pass? Quite possibly he could have. You can't really blame Batshuayi, fresh from scoring his double against Arsenal. It was a good effort.
Good effort by the 36-year-old goalkeeper to get down like that. Willian with the corner for Chelsea. That's off the top of the head of Javi Martinez. Christensen went for the first corner in and he didn't miss it by much.
Decent effort, but as you rightly said, it's saved by Stark.
Fabregas. Much better here from Chelsea as we approach half-time. That looked a menacing corner, the last one by Willian. What this time? Oh, again. Just the wrong side of the upright, and it was Gary Cahill this time.
It's two corners in a row, cause him a lot of problems. It's a standing start for Cahill. He does well. Gets up high, controls the header. He's unlucky not to find the inside of the post.
Free kick against Willian. Friedel. Greg Ribéry to Rodriguez. Back to him by Renato Sanchez. Rafinha. Renato Sanchez, he looks a different player in this game to the player so low on confidence. Putting himself about all over the field. I know it's a free kick, Keith, but he is dominating what's happening out there.
Well, he's imposed himself big time, him and Tolisso. They've outrun, they've out-thought Kante and Fabregas in the heart of that midfield. I don't think there's a hell of a lot in this free kick either.
Three stoppage minutes at the end of this first half. 3 goals is the deficit, even if Chelsea have improved over the last 10-15 minutes. It is said about Ancelotti that this is one of his main strengths as a coach and manager, that he's got a brilliant rapport with his individual players, and he's the best at getting inside what's going on. Let's talk about what's happening and why things are not going well. And it looks very much like he's spent some time with Renato Sanchez.
He's a good man manager, isn't he? It's always a telling factor when managers leave a football club, what's said about them, sometimes what's not said about them. He always has the utmost respect, regardless if he's played his players or not. He seems to always have that relationship with them.
Ribéry. James Rodriguez. Rafinha did enough to force a corner. Very inventive from Bayern.
James Rodriguez, quite quiet in the first half. Shows that beautiful technique he has. Good number, Rafinha.
But Keith, with James Rodriguez down the right here, I just wonder whether they're discovering a natural rapport with Rafinha here in this game. Courtois gets a firm fist to that one. Willian kept a hold of it. Batshuayi taken off him by Hummels. Kante. Nice little help on by Fabregas. Now can Chelsea help their plight in this game by getting one back before half-time? Boga. Rafinha's got to defend against him. Boga did well. Marcos Alonso. No way through. Fabregas had to go back for it. Kante. Azpilicueta. Firmly headed clear by Martinez. Victor Moses. Kante. Step over by Willian. Moses' ball in was a beauty. Marcos Alonso comes onto it and smashes it into the net, and Chelsea are back in the contest.
Lovely play by Chelsea on that right-hand side. Marcos Alonso backing play up on the left. But they deserve this goal. Since that water break they've come into, it's a lovely little over by Willian. It's a cut back. Could Batshuayi actually gone a little bit further and got on the end of this? He had been a fully matched tempo possibly, but Alonso, it's as pure a strike as you're going to see.
Made that job look very, very easy, and an up note for Chelsea here at half-time, after they struggled so badly and made everything look so difficult for the first 30 minutes of this. Bayern Munich have a 3-1 lead here at the break. They arrived in Singapore, their pride stung, and they've made a statement here against a club that could be a major rival in the months ahead. It's been excellent again here in Singapore in the International Champions Cup. Chelsea 1, Bayern 3 at half-time.